Hi, everybody. It's episode 611 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Wednesday, April 29th, 2026. I am Chris. With me is Droo.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
We're back again. Another week.
Yes. Another busy week. A tiring week. I'm exhausted.
You know, I'm like oddly tired today. And I'm not sure why. I don't feel like I slept any worse than usual. But even just waking up this morning, I just felt very sluggish getting up.
So for me, this weekend was I had done some bad moves and ended up falling asleep on the couch a lot. So then I didn't really get a lot of good sleep over the weekend. And then I decided to starting Monday work out 6 days a week.
Good for you.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. But for now, I haven't gone out today because I woke up, worked, and then this. And so after this is when I'm going to go work out. But yeah, so Monday I tried to jog doing couch to 5K. I couldn't make it through the first day because I think my shoes are just fucked. And I went to Audubon Lake, and that's all hilly and uneven, and that just fucked up my legs. And then yesterday I did about 20 minutes of activity in Ring Fit, and that just both those turned my legs to jelly afterwards, and so I'm just tired and kind of sore from that. And so yeah, today I'm just tired in general, and I was already telling you I've got a busy next couple of weekends. I got to do a ton of friggin' yard work this weekend, so it's just been a lot. It's been a lot. But
let's be real, yard work sucks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so my plan is working out, is doing couch to 5K Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and doing Ring Fit on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. However, during the summer, Ring Fit is only happening on Tuesday and Thursday because on Saturdays I'm going to be mowing the lawn every Saturday and shit like that. Yeah, so that's my workout for that day is going to be the lawn mowing and whatnot. But this is going to be, because I haven't done it yet, because I haven't really had the time or energy, this is going to be my first mow of the season, so it's a lot taller. There's a lot more work I need to do, so I've let things grow out a lot longer. But I've gotten tools to make it easier. I bought a hedge trimmer, so that should help with a lot of it, but it's still going to be a lot of work, because my yard is huge, too. My yard is just so fucking big.
I mean, that's what, we hired somebody to do it, just because, we do have a lot more yard than we had before. And if my allergies weren't as bad as they were, I would just suck it up and do it. But I don't want to do it, and my allergies just it's not worth the 2.5 hours I'd have to be out there to then basically be non-functional for the rest of the day because the earth ruins me.
You should look into that allergy shot, because
I've looked into it a little bit. The ones that I've seen, and maybe there are better ones out there than what I've seen, you have to get them pretty frequently. I really, really don't like shots.
I from what I remember, it's once a week or once every 2 weeks for a couple of months, and then after that, it's every couple months or every month or something like that. I don't really remember.
That's a lot of shots.
That seems like a lot.
But that's what I've seen too. It is weekly for a while. And then the weekly becomes, I think, monthly, and then it becomes quarterly or something. I'm I don't have it in me to go get shots that regularly. Plus the cost too. My insurance through work sucks.
You'd have to look into it to see if your insurance would cover it.
Probably not. But a leg rig, gets me through the day as long as I'm not out there doing yard work, basically.
I don't know, man. There's been days where even with Allegra, you're just dead. Even
absolutely.
And I'm just man, if your allergies are that bad, I to me at least, I'd be it'd be worth the shot.
So I've never had anyone say that they get the shot and it just makes everything better.
It takes time because you have to do it so many times before it takes full effect.
No, I know that, but I mean people that have gotten it and they're oh yeah, it's better, but I still have it. I'm that's just not good enough. If I'm getting that many shots and paying that kind of money, I want to just not have allergies anymore.
Right.
But it's something that's still worth I should probably actually check and see has it gotten better? Is it still 1,000 fucking shots before you kind of see any effects? And like, how much is it? Because I almost certainly have to pay out of pocket for it. Because fuck America. I they don't. I can't even. So when I was like younger, allergy medicine was actually like a prescription that you could get, and it was $5 for a 2-month supply of Allegra. Now I get 30 pills for $36.
Over the counter, or
Yeah, because it's no longer a prescription and doctors won't prescribe it.
my doctor prescribes me generic Singular, and I get 90 days for like $6.
So I've been told by 2 different doctors that they can't prescribe Allegra anymore, and Allegra is the only one that fucking works for me.
That's weird. I mean, I'm sure there's a generic brand that they could prescribe to you.
The generic's also technically over the counter.
No, I know, but like, I mean, I get Montelukast, which is Singular. Which I'm sure
maybe
I
it's just
also...
simply my insurance doesn't actually cover it. That is also entirely possible.
Very possible.
My insurance is United Healthcare.
Oh yeah, well, my insurance is BCBS, but my what's it called? Prescription is CVS. So
we used to have CVS. I haven't gotten a prescription in so long. I know it's not anymore, but I don't actually remember who it is. Because like it's shitty enough insurance that I just don't go to the doctor. Is basically how it plays out.
Yeah, that's terrible. They gotta love the American health.
Oh yeah, it's great. Meanwhile, I know people in other countries where they're like, yeah, I just had major surgery. It was $7.
Yep.
I had a private room and everything.
Exactly.
Anyway, Rich, what's on the agenda?
On the agenda, Cobb read Death Has Joined the Party. Droo played Slay the Spire 2, and then me and Cobb had a board game night and played a couple of board games. But first, I just want to bring up real quick. Do you guys remember how awkward Chris Hemsworth looks in Thor 1?
Yeah, with the bad wig.
It's not even the wig. They dyed his beard and eyebrows blonde. He looks so weird. Because with my watch through, I watched Thor this weekend, and I forget how honestly bad he looks in Thor 1. And then they tone it down. I think in Avengers it's not as blonde. I think he might have like the dirty blonde brown eyes and beard. But
the wig was also a lot worse in the first Thor.
I didn't know. I didn't think too much about the wig. I thought more about...
I think it's because it's so blonde.
Yeah, his face looks square in that. Like he looks like kind of like a lion man. And I was like, this just looks so weird. It looks so... The rest of the movies,
it definitely improves as they go on, because I think that they made it look more like natural hair.
Yeah.
Especially natural hair of like a warrior. Like he's got very like model-y hair in the first movie.
Yeah. It was
not
it was
a
rough.
Norse god of war, essentially. Like he's not the god of war, but like that's basically what he did.
He's the god of hammers
and axes later on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's all. It's just like the rest of the movie's fine. It was that just like I'm just like, man, this is just so weird to look at.
Yeah, that first Thor movie, totally fine.
It's a good movie. Honestly, yeah. I've never been a hater towards any of the Thor movies, even the second one, which everyone was like, "Oh, this movie sucks. It's the worst." I was like, "No, it's not that bad. Like, it's not shit. Like, it's all right. Does it not stand up to the rest of the Marvel films? Oh, I guess maybe, but overall, like, I thought it's not." I mean,
honestly, looking back on it, I actually think Dark World is probably at this point better than Love and Thunder.
I disagree. I
really like the tone of Love and Thunder. Like there were so many parts that could have been better if they hadn't made the entire movie a punchline.
Well, the problem with Thor, and like again, that's why like I mock it by saying he's the god of hammers. The problem with Thor is he's always about a weapon. Every movie is about his weapon. And that's where a lot of the problem is even in Love and Thunder, which like that was a little too far. Was all right, it's all about Mjolnir, but also like he's the god of thunder and he needs Zeus's thunder. Like what? Yeah, he's always about a weapon. But overall, yeah, exactly. I thought the themes of the movie were very good. I thought it was a very good movie that was told. It was a very well-actioned movie. Like it wasn't.
So I think that's the problem. Is Love and Thunder had so many things that should have been it should have been probably one of the better, like, best MCU movies. But the tone and like Ragnarok, I think nailed the tone of Thor. It did a perfect job, kind of leveling out like the goofy humor with like the seriousness and action. Love and Thunder, it's like they forgot to have somebody there to like rein Waititi in, and it was just all punchlines. During moments that like would have been better suited to not just being a punchline, like the most of the Zeus stuff, frankly, was like played for jokes, which it could have been better than that. And then the end bit is the one that always stands out when he's like basically giving everybody the power of Thor, and he says it and it's like a cool moment, and then he whispers, but only for a minute. It's like, come on, man, just let the cool moment happen. Thor doesn't have to always be a punchline.
Yeah.
But I also have not seen Dark World in a very long time. So like I might be thinking back on it being like, oh yeah, maybe it wasn't that bad. It's probably third in the Thor movies compared, like it's Ragnarok, Thor 1, Dark World, Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I see. I would still put Dark World at the bottom, but I'm just not saying it's. I'm not talking like it's at the bottom of the top kind of situation. Like, and I'm not saying it's the best of the Marvel movies, but like when you're comparing, especially like early Marvel. I know later Marvel has gotten like modern, like past 5-6 years Marvel, post Endgame Marvel has kind of like been hit or miss. Not really to me though, just for public opinion. But like when you're ranking these movies and like the early pre-Endgame Marvel movies, it is a lot of like you're ranking the best of the best, even if you're ranking it low, it's still a really good movie. But like there's just a lot of haters out there for Thor, the Dark World. There's a lot of haters out there for Iron Man 3. And
Iron
it was
Man 2
like
also, and like I think Iron Man 3 is better than 2. Like I like 3 for the most part.
I don't remember a lot of hatred towards Iron Man 2, but I do remember specifically, and we were at Wizard World after Iron Man 3 came out, and my sister-in-law was wearing her Iron Man corset that she made, and somebody was like talking to her, and they got to talking about Iron Man 3, and the guy turned back and was like, "Oh, you mean Tony Stark 3? There was no Iron Man in it." And it was like, it's all about Tony Stark. It's
Iron
like
Man.
People are just stupid, and people like hated on Iron Man 3 because it took the world of Marvel into it humanized fucking Tony Stark into having PTSD because he's not a warrior, he's not a soldier, like, and even soldiers get PTSD, but like he's not someone who's used to getting into these big giant fucking battles like this shit. It's like one-on-one type of shit. Like, it humanized him, and it humanized a lot of the Avengers in general. But yeah, people just like they will easily hate on something because it changes things up a little bit, and that's why like I feel a lot of like, yeah, they hit the mark well on like Thor Ragnarok, and then they kind of I do agree, like they did a lot of punchliney jokey things throughout it. They made fucking his fucking axe sentient, which what? I don't think I ever recall them ever saying that it would be a sentient axe, but they made it fairly sentient, which was just like that makes no sense why you would do that. And again, they made him they jump back everything they did in Ragnarok by creating him, like explaining him as the god of thunder, and then being all about a fucking weapon again. So like I get it, but I also think like overall, beyond those points, I thought it was a solid movie, and it's like there's only been really 2 movies that I've absolutely like was bored at or just uninterested in when it came to Marvel movies, and that was Black Widow and Wakanda Forever, which I'm actually excited to rewatch those to see if my feelings have changed about them after the fact.
Yeah, I guess we'll
But,
find out in
we'll find
like
out in
30
10
months or 30
months
weeks or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. In like 4 months. I don't know. We'll find out.
Right. Well, let's move on along. What do you say?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I read a book. It's called Death Has Joined the Party. It's from a new series called Mana Runners by Rachel Aaron. And Rich, not that I think you'd get to it in any reasonable amount of time, but it might be something that
Hey,
you'd enjoy down the road.
hey, I'm like a third of the way through my second book this year. Okay,
Nice.
Let's
So
go.
so to
like
be fair, I did not mean that as a you read slow. I meant it as a I know you have quite a backlog of things you want to get to.
yeah, I have a bit of a.
Um,
After this book, there's only 2 more books left, maybe something like that. I have to find all my books.
but so this is one of those like lit RPG books that people are super into right now. Kind of like Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Hmm.
Which I do not like Dungeon Crawler Carl. I tried 2 of them. The humor and the stuff just does not fucking work for me. I hate the way that they use like the video game mechanics in it. And it's a shame because like those books, like actually like the plot and the characters aren't bad, but it just I lose interest as soon as it spends like 4 pages every other chapter going over stats and upgrades and loot boxes.
Hmm.
But so like the Death has joined the party is in that kind of realm of type of books where they're the anime does it too, like your sword arts and shit like that, people, the characters get levels, they get new skills and everything. This book kind of works it into the world a little bit better. It's not a weird apocalypse scenario or a virtual world. It's actually set in like a D&D inspired world. But it's a D&D inspired world that is in like a pseudo information age. So they don't have like modern technology, but they have essentially created like magical items that replicate a lot of like our modern technology. So like they use like sending stones basically as televisions.
Hmm.
And so this book is about they have an annual like reality TV show called Mana Runners where a bunch of people who in a different age would have been like adventurers go into an endless dungeon to try and clear it to prevent monsters from escaping. And the way the world is set up is like over the last several hundred years, like wild monsters have basically been eradicated. Like there's not really any threat of being like attacked or overrun anymore, except from this one dungeon that kind of just spawns creatures in it magically.
Hmm.
And so the main character is a kid who, well, he's like in his 20s, that up until this point, he was actually allergic to magic. Anytime he like basically left his home that was lead lined, he'd be in excruciating pain. Something happens at the beginning and he becomes a necromancer. Only he doesn't want to hurt people, or kill people or resurrect people. But in order to not die, he has to kill sentient things to keep like basically like his status buff that prevents like magic from killing him.
Hmm.
So he decides to go join this Mana Runners competition that he was a big fan of. And as part of that, you basically like normal people don't necessarily know what their like stats and shit are, but the Mana Runners do because they essentially have like a DBZ scouter like implanted in their bodies that gives them like a basically like access to like a character sheet. And so throughout the book, like he specifically his specific class, he gets XP from kills. Everyone else in the world levels up. What's the other milestone levels? So everybody else is milestone level ups, and they basically explain it that like the gods grant heroes levels when they accomplish something heroic or that goes along with whatever kind of like pantheon that class is behind. And like as the book goes on, you find out that like there is something more to this dungeon, and that's actually why the gods kind of grant people power ups essentially. And it's broken up into tiers where like this kid, he's a level 1, he's on like the lowest tier. So he's getting thrown into like the mix like immediately with all of the other kind of just like fodder people. And there are like level cap people that will like get sent in to the lower levels later on when they're open that are like more equipped to fight like dragons and shit. But it's actually it's I was surprised at how much fun it was because I've tried a couple like of these like lit RPG progression fantasies and like very hit or miss on them. Like sometimes they kind of sometimes they go a little too hard with it, and they make all of kind of like the in-world like game mechanic stuff be too much a part of the actual story, and it kind of detracts from the story they're telling. This one does a good job of like making it part of the world, but not making it the focus of anything. Like I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. They bring up like spells and spell slots and stuff like that regularly, but only because like literally the characters are casting spells and they only have so many spell slots. But aside from your main character, who's, like I said, he's an unwilling necromancer who he got his powers from a dead necromancer who basically didn't put any points into other class spells. So, and you guys know this better than I do. Like, technically, a necromancer would get other spells like Firebolt or something, right?
I mean,
or like, has access to them.
So D&D does not have a necromancer class, so it would be
I thought they
wizard.
did.
No, so it would be the wizard. I mean, technically, you could be considered a necromancer and be a cleric, depending on the spells you take. But generally, it would be a wizard, and so yes, they would have access to like fireball and shit like that as well.
And then they would also have like the resurrection spells and like the
well, so that's like
spells, right?
Yeah, again, so that's like trying to define what would be considered a necromancer. Like resurrection wouldn't be on the wizard, but it would be like raise the dead would be the wizard, whereas a cleric, depending on the cleric, would have both raise the dead as well as resurrection and revivify and things like that. So it's really dependent on what you're saying is he can bring people back to life as well as raise. No, he can't bring people back to life. Then yeah, he'd probably be more on the side of a wizard than he would a cleric.
Okay, cool. So the person he got the powers from just didn't learn any like basic wizard spells then. Like,
according to the Amazon, it's a lich that he got his powers.
Yeah, I wasn't giving away all the info.
Oh, lich is a common term in D.
Okay, I only know it from World of Warcraft. So
yeah, it's everyone knows what a lich is. It's like undead sorcerer that controls dark magic and undead.
Yeah, and the lich was essentially he was the head of like the magic college, specializing in necromancy, that he then became a lich, and over the course of like 1,000 years, like perfected a bunch of stuff, but like was one of those like, I don't need to learn these like other spells. I just want to focus on killing and then bringing the things I killed back to life or taking over different things. Because his whole thing was he was literally just trying to take over this kid's body so that he would have like a new young body instead of an old, frail, decaying one. There's also a sentience probably not. There's an intelligent mimic in the book. It's like one of the other main characters is a mimic that can turn into things that it ate, including a half elf druid.
Okay.
And it then spends the book pretending to be a half elf druid that, by being almost eaten by a mimic, learned how to turn into a mimic with its wild form or whatever the shape-shifting spell's called.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So like it's goofy, and like everyone gives like the characters like a side eye because none of their shit seems right. Like again, like the kid keeps leveling up and no one else does. Like he got to level 3 before anybody else like in his tier because he gets experience points and no one else does.
Yeah.
But it was actually really cool, and I am interested to see like kind of where the series goes. I'm a little bummed that I read it like kind of right after it came out, so I don't know how long it'll be until the book 2 comes out, and it definitely ended on a cliffhanger, which always a bummer. But I think just like the setting and it being like it, the co-writer for it is somebody who I think has written some like Wizards of the Coast D&D stuff in the past, and most of the times when they're talking about like monsters and like stat blocks and all, it sounds damn close to what's actually in the books. So I think they actually were using the legitimate like text for certain things. Like some stuff they did just make up for the book, but if they're using something that actually exists in D&D, they were using like real information for it. They weren't just like calling something Eldritch Blast and then making up what it did and how it worked. So yeah, it's a fun book though.
Yeah, it sounds fun. It sounds neat and a different take on some of the lit RPG world that I didn't even know was a thing until very recently.
Yeah, like some of this stuff's been around for a long time because like you have like things like Sword Art Online is that's technically where that falls. It's also called like progression fantasy.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's stuff like that where it's there's a lot of and manga that does it. But sometimes didn't you watch a show where like the main character like leveled up really strong or something like that?
Yeah, it was uh, over leveled. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
the
You know exactly
hero.
which one I'm thinking of. Just neither of us can remember the name of it.
The hero is overpowered but overly cautious.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go. So stuff like that. Sometimes it's like Sword Art where it's a virtual world that they're generally in. Other times something like Dungeon Crawler Carl is an extraterrestrial force destroys the world and forces humans to run this dungeon setting as a form of entertainment for the rest of the galaxy.
Hmm.
Like that's basically what Dungeon Crawler Carl is. Like aliens show up, obliterate the entire world, and then open up these portals into I think it's like a 15 level dungeon built into the earth that is using a bunch of structures that were sucked into the earth from like the rest of the planet. And it's basically anyone that makes it into one of those becomes a contestant on this game show, basically. And they're given like arbitrary like classes to start, and then like as they play, they get to like pick power ups and shit. That series leans way more into like humor. Like there's like an AI that's talking to the characters all the time, and the AI like has a very odd foot fetish. And the main character Carl, like when the world ended, it was like 2 a.m. He wasn't wearing shoes or pants. Like
Hmm.
he has a leather jacket, boxers, and his feet are bare.
Hmm.
And the AI really leans into liking to watch him squish bugs with his feet. And it's weird and uncomfortable.
Strange.
Yeah. But yeah, it's super popular like genre or like subgenre right now. For better and worse. Cause like there are some good ones. Like there was one I read, I guess it was last year, that was like kind of like a take on Legend of Zelda. Like it was essentially what was it called? Like how to defeat a demon king in 10 steps. And like when you look at the cover looks like Link. But it's really like a girl who decided it's stupid to wait for like the hero of legends to show up to defeat the demon king every time he resurrects, and she goes to like figure out how to do it on her own. And like it has all the classic like Zelda kind of stuff. Like there's a master sword in a stone that only the hero can pull out. At one point you go to the water temple where the hero died, and there's a shadow zombie version of the hero there.
Hmm.
Like that one was kind of fun. But yeah. Drew,
Yeah,
how's Slay the Spire 2?
it's more Slay the Spire,
I
which is a
forget.
good.
What is Slay the Spire?
It is a deck builder roguelike.
Okay.
The first one was free on PlayStation Plus at one point, I'm pretty sure. This is currently still in early access. I think they said like out of early access in like a 1 to 2 year time frame. It came out in March in early access. I wasn't gonna pick it up, but my brother had it, and I found out they added co-op in Slay the Spire 2. So me and my brother have played that a couple times, and
How's
we've
the
cleared the
co-op?
runs both times. Sorry, what'd you say?
How's the co-op?
It's really cool. It seems like they basically just buff the enemy health. Haven't exactly looked at like what changes when you go to the co-op, but they do also add in some cards, although both me and my brother think not enough, that you can play that will help all players on your team, because I believe it's up to 4-player co-op. And it's neat because you can use the potions that you will occasionally get as rewards on your teammates if it's like a buff potion. It's actually how we killed the final boss last night. Was I was using one of the two new characters, the Necrobinder. They're a necromancer. They have like they're a skeleton looking for revenge against somebody, and they have a little. It's a giant hand skeleton thing that summons, and it will absorb some damage for you, but also can do a lot of attacks, depending if those are the cards that come up. Because with Slay the Spire, like you always start with the same deck for each character, but as you defeat enemies, you'll get more cards to add to your deck. And it just so happened with this run we were on, I was getting a lot of cards that were choices for cards that were for the skeleton hand to do attacks, including one card where it was like it does 45 damage plus 5 for every other attack card for him in the deck. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, then I'll just, if I have an option, I'll probably take it. And at one point we hit a question mark thing room, and the thing was like you can either think it was swap out like a couple cards in your deck or completely duplicate your deck. And normally you kind of want to keep your deck slightly limited so you can actually get the good shit that you have. And my brother was like, I don't know why anyone would ever take that. And I was like, well, I'm doing it because I had that card plus a whole bunch of other attacks. So that one attack card was up to 165 damage if I pulled it, which is
Oh
like
wow.
ridiculous. Like most of the attacks are like 6 to 10 damage, maybe 20 if it uses all 3 of your base energy that you get in a turn. When we got to the boss, my brother had a potion that tripled the damage of your next attack. And he was like, just tell me when you pull that card. And eventually, this final boss had like 3 phases. We're on the final phase. It has like 550 health. And I was like, hit me. I pulled it and just do 600 damage to it in one shot.
Nice.
But there were definitely times where we were going and it was like, oh, all right, it's starting to look a little rough. And we pulled combos of cards where like I could debuff the enemies a bit, and then his build, he was playing the silent, which is like the rogue type character, and he wound up getting a lot of their cards where they can generate dagger that they or shivs that can attack with for free and stuff that boosted that. And there was one time I don't know how many he wound up playing, but it was like 15 plus then a card called the Finale or something like that that did like 10 damage for every time you've attacked that turn. So he did like 300 damage in one fight that was starting to look a little shaky. And he was like, nope, nope, I got this. And it's just like, bam, 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 hit, 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 hit. I'm like, gee, just watching the health bar just decrease. But
Nice.
it's real cool. It's neat. Like I said, I hope they put more of the like multiplayer cards in there. I'm sure they will be as they're spending all this time in early access.
People are not happy with the most recent update.
That seems to be the case all the time. They found a thing that was broken, and developer unbreaks their broken thing, and they're like, "Why did you make my broken thing
No,
not broken?"
from what I'm seeing on the recent Steam reviews, it's a creature called the Doormaker.
Sure.
Or a boss named the Doormaker that people are encountering that is next to impossible to defeat. And so then if they a lot of people are basically building their build around the Doormaker and then not able to fight anything else and defeat anything else because their build is built around something that they may or may not encounter. And when you do encounter it and you don't build to defeat it, you can't defeat it.
I mean, sure, and that's an issue, but it's also random. You might not encounter it. I've not seen that enemy, so I don't know. I haven't played it that much, but also it's early access. Of course,
I mean,
there's
people
going to
just
be
get angry
issues.
about stuff too.
Yeah, I trust me. I get
This is why I don't
the.
look at user reviews.
I mean, I like when it's a game that's in early access. The user reviews are probably the better things to look at to see what's going on currently on with the game because you can go online and see what people say about the game when it first became available 2 months ago. But then this game came out in March. So at the beginning of March, what did people think of it at the beginning of March? Sure. But now the recent reviews are saying, hey, you really broke this game with the recent update. It's a very good tool to see what's going on right now about it. That's what I'm saying. It's currently being like getting hit with negative reviews because of the not the whole time. That's why like user reviews or like Steam reviews to see recent, it's good to see like, well, what's going on right now? Like, why is it mostly negative? More so than you base that on my decision. I'm not going to buy the game. I'm not big on the deck builder roguelites because there's just way too many levels of random in that. But I was just like, why is it? Because I've seen people play it, and I've seen people enjoy it, and like the idea behind this game is interesting. And I've seen some. I saw a short where somebody sat there for like, I don't remember the exact time, but I'm gonna over exaggerate, like 5 minutes for one turn because they had a card that kept repeating X amount of times or something like that, and it repeated 200 times, and their turn takes like 3 minutes or something like that because of that combo that they're doing. And I'm like, that's interesting, but like again, because it's a deck based thing, it's all luck and random whether you're ever going to be able to do this again. And like, yeah, that's just it's a hard sell for me. But I was like, how is it doing? And yeah, I'm seeing recent reviews and mostly negative. For a lot of people are complaining about Thor Maker.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's in early access, so take with that what you will. That's why I try to avoid early access games as much as possible. It's sometimes depending on the type of game that I want to play.
And sometimes games stay in early access for years because it's easier than saying that the game is version 1.0.
Yeah. And then they release the game at version 1.0, but then create version 2.0 and 3.0 and drastically change the game beyond what it originally was supposed to be and kind of make the game suck. And people wish that you would bring it back to alpha builds. Looking at you, 7 Days to fucking Die.
I don't know. I hear it's great in everything except the alpha build.
No, it's literally a lot. I personally think Alpha 20 was the best build they have. A lot of the stuff that they've been incorporating recently has just been very frustrating and not very good. And then they've done things to try to counter it, but my biggest complaint is the game is based around reading a fucking book to learn how to build a weapon. But you need to read 100 of them to learn how to build it or learn how to upgrade it. And it's like that. No, why can't I just sit here and work on making things and then make it and they're like, that's not how you do it in real life. No, you get better at building things by building things. That's how you do it in real life. I don't want to sit here and have to look for a bookstore in every town I go to so I could advance the crafting in my crafting game. This is not a book reading game. This is a crafting survival game. But in my recent opinions of 7 Days to Die is you're really feeling its age anymore. It's a very dated game, and it really does feel like it's over 12 years old at this point, and they need to just work on something new. But they just got bought out, or the company that does what is that game? The horror game. The horror competitive game. Shit, what's it called?
Phasmophobia?
No, the one where it's 4v1 asymmetric.
Oh, like Friday the 13th?
No, but like that. But I can't remember the Dead by Daylight. The company that creates Dead by Daylight bought out Fun Pimps, and so the Fun Pimps now have a publisher basically. Because they were running out of money because they were living off of a Kickstarter and one game for 14 years. And hopefully they can make the game back to what it was, but I feel like they need to stop updating 7 Days to Die and give us a new game, but then if they stop doing 7 Days to Die right now, they're not fulfilling their promises from their Kickstarter of adding like AI, not AI, like bandits and shit. It's just zombies and a story mode. Something they've been promising for 6 years as a story mode. It's still not out yet. And it's now version 2.5 and should be getting 3.0 in the next couple of months.
Well, hopefully that one's good.
We'll see. From what I'm seeing, 3.0 is just turning into just new POIs. Is mostly all it is. Because we're not expected to get bandits now until 4.0. In a game that's gone gold and is no longer in early access, they're now on 4.0.
I love video games sometimes.
It's insane how bad the Fun Pimps are anymore. That's part. When I started, and 7 Days to Die is now $44. Oh no, That's a lie. Yeah, no, it's $45 for 7 Days to Die now. And the official release date of 7 Days to Die was July 25th, 2024. We are now looking at 3.0 coming up soon. When the game was in alpha for 12 years, 14 years. And the game just it's a very dated game and it's not looking good. When I started doing my Let's Plays, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to dedicate a lot of time to this game because it's one of my favorite games." Sometimes I feel like I can't play it. Just can't play it. I don't want to play it. It makes me frustrated.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
But shall we move on to board games?
Yeah, let's move on.
Sure.
Unless you had more to talk about in Slay the Spire, Drew.
No, it's good. I mean, I really enjoy it.
And that's what matters. But yeah, so we played a couple board games. We started off with a new one. It actually just came out. Pirates of the High Teas.
Yes.
Which I thought was actually a lot of fun.
It was. I like that style of game. I don't know what is that style of game like. But it's like resource collection basically, and it's not engine building, but it's a really cool style of game. Let me look it up while you talk about it.
I mean, it says Board Game Geek calls it open drafting set collection.
That's the word, open drafting. Open drafting set collection, yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I really do like the open drafting set collection type of
It's
gameplay.
funny because like looking at this and then looking at last time we played that Get Baked game, like similar concepts. Like both of them are about like presenting a food dish to somebody and getting points based on kind of like what items you use to make those food dishes. And like a similar mechanic of like during your turn collecting the cards to kind of make in the Get Baked game it was to bake cookies. In this game it's getting the cards to serve tea and like a snack. But whereas Get Baked was kind of shit. Like action economy was kind of fucked. Like the game did not flow well. This one actually flowed really nicely.
So I think like thinking about it and comparing the two, I feel like part of the issue with Get Baked is the fact that the game ends after X amount of cookies were made and not after X amount of rounds. I feel like that hurts the game where it's like, oh, this many cookies need to be made for the game to end and then you score it all up there. It's like, okay, well, then for me, when we were like 3 rounds in and no cookies were made, my brain was like, all right, let's just start making cookies and not care about the goals. But also like, the drafting aspect of Get Baked was, if I remember correctly, you would pull your cards. You wouldn't every turn you would restack, not every round. This one like had a little bit more strategy to it, and it had a much easier way to wipe the cards.
Well, that and it wasn't so like Get Baked was like action based. Like we had I think like 5 actions per turn.
Yeah.
And like actions were like drawing cards, putting cards into the oven.
And
then
taking
like,
cards out of the oven was an action.
And then the baking of the cookie took place over multiple rounds unless you played cards that impacted them. So like just the turn order and like action economy and all of that of Get Baked just didn't work well. Versus Pirates of the High Tea, it's not action based. It's everyone kind of gets to do the same amount of things each round. So like the structure of the game, just to go back to that, you are pirates and you need to serve tea and snacks to your captain. And to do that, there are 2 rooms on the ship. There is the galley and like the storage hold or something like that. I forget exactly what the names were. That during your turn, you move into one of those 2 rooms. I think it was the storage room is where you got the tea, and that had 2 slots for people. And then the room where you can get food items had 3 slots. And depending on like what slot you went into, depended like how many potential cards you got for that particular item and a couple other factors into it. Including what order people would go the next time. So the best possible spot to get for like the most kind of value return was like last in line. So if you're the first one up, you pick that slot. Next round, you're actually the last person to pick a place to go. Mm-hmm. And then once you've kind of like formulated your hand, and maybe that takes you 2 rounds, You can then take your tea and your food item and move into the captain's orders, which again only has 2 spots in it. And on your turn, you then serve the captain those items. And there's different scoring metrics depending on kind of what you're serving. But the kind of rule of the game is you have to have a tea with a paired food item, and that food item has to be like 3 cards. And each food item is broken down into, and Rich, correct me if I'm wrong here, it was salt, fruit, and chocolate were essentially the flavor profiles.
Savory, fruity, and chocolatey.
So
probably savory, sweet, and chocolate.
Yeah. And so all the food items had generally 1 or more of those. A handful of cards didn't have any. And then they also had some sort of like color to them. And every tea had a flavor profile that you wanted to match and a color profile to match. Mm-hmm. You could match one or the other of those, or if you managed to match both of them, you got an increased bonus. So say like a tea, you got 4 points for the flavor profile, 4 points for the color profile. Maybe you got 10 points if you actually managed to do both of them in your 3-card dish. And you could do things like combine 2 cards. So if you needed a chocolatey item, you could take a card that was chocolate and pair it with a card that was pink and cover both the pink and the chocolate. You still needed 2 more cards, though, on top of that to finish the kind of round of 3 food items. Mm-hmm. And then you got money for it. Like that was your scoring currency was actual like doubloons. So I think the lowest cards probably got you like 5, and like the highest ones we were probably getting close to about 20, I want to say, when you were like maxing out everything.
Yeah, so I think like the most like the base reward would be like if you did both, you'd get about 12, but then you also got rewarded for each of the card values that you had that you offered up as well. So yeah, it could get up there up towards of 20 or more points per tea combination, because the food items each had a different value of point worth. And so like the ones that didn't have any icons for salty, sweet, or chocolatey would generally be worth more. So if you're able to smash those with something that matches what you need, and it's the color that you need and whatnot, you'd be able to like get the 4 points rather than like generally 2 points if it had any of the icons on there. So you'd be able to. There's a way to min-max to get like I guess right now I'm looking at cards. One is 12 points. If you were to able to min-max, you could potentially get 12 plus. You could get 24 points on one card or one play real easily if you did 3 4s and the 12 points on top of it.
I mean, but not easily, because generally, so like part of the cards are your food cards, the kind of like the point value for them, usually 2. There are a handful of cards that had 4. They were strictly color cards, though. They had no flavor profile.
Yeah.
So getting 3 cards with that 4 marker on there, and having the color profile work out to a T card, and then also having all the flavor profile cards, like that takes some doing.
It takes some work for sure, but it's like you could the max
return
points
isn't necessarily worthwhile, because like you might have to go 3 rounds to pull that off, and in those 3 rounds, somebody else maybe just turned in 2 things of tea that added up to 24.
Yeah, like it's sometimes it's more. Like the thought would be quantity over quality sometimes in some of these games. Like if we're gonna continue to do the comparison between like Get Baked and this, like Get Baked was definitely a quantity over quality, whereas this is more of a quality over quantity type game. Like it's more of the take your time, plan it out, figure out what you're gonna do, use your bonus actions wisely, stuff like that. And like I really enjoyed like the addition of like the bonus actions of like if you had the cannon, you could wipe the board. If you had the monkey, you could take an extra bonus card. If you had the parrot, you could sell your cards back, stuff like that. Or sell your cards and just get points for them. I liked the addition of those. Like at the end of the game, I only had 2 cards left, and I wasn't going to be able to get enough cards to make a combination. So I took the ability to just draw some more T cards and take some more parrots, and just was like, all right, I'm just going to get 6 points this round. I'm just going to sell everything that I can, and just get 6 points, because it's the end of the round. I wasn't going to be able to do anything anyway.
Yeah, and like the nice thing in the game, like because the way the rules work out, I guess I should say, is it's a very strict like 10 card limit, and it's not like some other games where like you can kind of just like bluff your way through that because no one's necessarily going to check. Like part of the structure of this game is like each phase of a round, everyone does their part of the phase before you move on to the next one. So the opening phase is getting the round bonus, and then everyone moves their token in order to the room they want to be in, and then everyone does the action of that room in order from left to right. And then there's the cleanup phase where you refill the river of cards. So there's like 5 face-up food items, 3 face-up teas, and then like the decks that you can pull blind from. And then at the end of that, you count your cards. And if anyone has more than 10 cards, you have to discard, unless you have parrots. Then you can actually use a parrot to sell that card back and not take just I just lost that card that was worth 4 tokens. It's like, nope, I just sold that card and got those 4 tokens into my score pool.
Okay.
And like, I thought that was cool because it was a good way to like encourage people to keep their hand small, but also not immediately penalize them if they happen to go over. Like there was one round where it was near the end of the game, and it was when the captain's room unlocked you could turn in 2 instead of just 1.
Mm-hmm.
That like I was over 10 cards. I had like 13 cards in my hand, and I had 2 parrots. So I figured out the 2 kind of like turn-ins that I needed to do my 2 turn-ins on my turn, and then I was able to sell 2 of the extra cards, and I only had to discard 1 of them. And I think like I worked it out where like one of the ones I obviously sold was a 4-pointer, and then the other 2 were just 2 points, so I got 2 coins for the one, and then I only ended up losing 2 coins out of that, which like way better than having lost, what would that have been, 8 coins if I had to just discard them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I had a lot of fun with that one, and it's set up where you can do up to like 1 to 4 players, and I don't know what the like base version of the game looks like, but I had gotten like the fancier edition. So it came with actual metal tokens for the coins, wood tokens for everything else, and the game board are like mousepad material. I can never remember what that's called, like neoprene or something like that. And it comes with 2 of them, and they're double-sided, and each one is meant for a different number of players. So there's the 4-player mat, 3-player, 2-player, and 1-player. And most of the game plays the same regardless of the number of players. It's just how many cards kind of get divvied out and stuff like that changes. So I think 1 player actually changes the rules significantly because you're playing by yourself. But I feel like that's pretty common when games have a single player option. They have to kind of like change things up because you're playing by yourself. Like there's no one to compete against. But other than that, we also played Cryptid. That's what it was called, right? Like I grabbed the right game.
Yeah. Yes, it's called Cryptid.
And I thought that one was cool too.
Yeah, Cryptid is very interesting. It's a deduction game is really all it's classified, and basically you draw a card and you lay out a map, and the card will give you a map layout. You set up the map with different there's different there's 6 different tiles that you place down in based on how the card tells you, and then there's little tokens you put on certain icons throughout it, certain spots throughout it, and then each player is handed a booklet and is given 1 clue about
out of
where
like 100. Like the booklet has like 100 clues.
Yeah, and they're each given 1 clue, and it is a different clue, I believe. Even if you all get the same number, is a different clue in each of those numbers.
Yeah, we kind of confirmed that like my 81 was different from your 81.
Yeah. And so then you go around the table taking turns trying to guess or ask for information as to where the unidentified cryptid is on the map. And so you can take one of two actions. Either action one is grabbing a little icon, placing it somewhere, and looking at someone and saying, "Is the cryptid here?" And they have to either answer yes or no. If they answer no, then you have to give up some information as to where the cryptid isn't. If they answer yes, then great. As far as you know, it's where you place your token is a spot that's potential of where the cryptid could be on that person's information.
Yeah, it's cool because like it's a grid-based board, and like Richie said, like it's essentially modular. Like
Yeah,
it's
modular.
just the pieces all just kind of like line up together. Honestly, like the kind of like deployment, it's not the same, but it reminds me of like Battleship or like electronic Battleship specifically, where like you'd have to pick the layout based on the game manual so that you can punch in the code so that the game knows where like your ships are. It's kind of like that where the game tells you what the layout of the map is, and then the card also tells you what clues to give to each color. And the clues end up being things like not near water or within 2 spaces of desert. So it's all like grid based. So if somebody like drops something in blue, it's like, well, that's water. If my clue is not in water, I put the no token on it.
Yeah, you mark it as a no. And then it's whoever can deduct where the cryptid would be first and place their token, their search token in that spot first, and everyone else agrees with them. That's the person who placed it first is the winner.
It's
Which is
super
like,
quick.
yeah,
and
we played like 4 or 5 games very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we fucked up the one because we played like 2 rounds of like the basic rule, and then we started a round of like the advanced rules, which adds like harder clues. That the basic clues are all like it is within 1 space of a tower. So the towers are just like the little cylinders on the board. You just kind of look around that, and anything that's within 1 space of a tower counts for it. The advanced ones adds like it's not within 3 spaces of a bear. So then you're thinking like, okay, shit. So it's the opposite now. So when I'm saying no, it's the opposite. It can't be here. And we fucked that one up the first try. But then the second time around on that one, like we all kind of it finally clicked for all of us, and it was another fairly quick round. That the second one, I feel like that might have been the longest round, right, Rich?
I don't remember which one would have been.
I think it was the final round we played, which was like the more advanced rules.
Probably, but it also because like it just takes you have to think a lot more with those advanced rules because it's not here or not there, or they added a couple of more tokens, I believe, and it was it was a very interesting game. I liked it. It's very like you said, it's fun and it's quick and it's just it's cool. Like I don't know. I agree with our complaint of it doesn't tell us what the cryptid is we're searching for. There's no like hey, you're looking for the Mothman, or you're looking for Bigfoot or the Chupacabra or anything. No, it's just like you're just looking for an undisclosed cryptid. I'm like, I wish each card had a little bit of a story to it as to where you're at and what you're looking for.
That would actually be cool. Give it like a little flavor.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because that and like I think it's interesting. There's not actually a like 100% correct like answer. Like
that would be my other complaint is like there could be multiple correct answers on the map.
And like there certainly are, because there are plenty of places that if like mine says not in the forest, yours says within 3 spaces of a pyramid, and like there's 2 pyramids and neither of them are near the forest, like it could really be either one of those. It's just a matter of us searching one of those areas.
Yeah, so I wish there was like an answer key somewhere, like if you have card 1, then like in the back of the instruction book or whatever, it says card 1, here's the location of the cryptid. Like this way we know, like, did we get it right? Because like I don't know, maybe that's another win. That could be a cooperative condition. We could all say yes, it's here, and then maybe we could try to find all of the stuff that's there without discussing our rules and be like, well, is it here or is it elsewhere as well? And which one of those spots could it be? Like,
Oh
give
yeah,
us
like
a
basically narrow
cooperative.
down all the possible locations.
Exactly. And give us a cooperative win condition as opposed to just competitive the whole time. And just be like, all right, well, now we know where it exactly is, and that could just, again, that could lead more into like giving us a lore of whatever type of cryptid we're looking for. Like, all right, we found it, now let's see what we found. And you go through the book and it's like, all right, this is card 67. So let's go find where card 67 is, and it's like, oh, you found X cryptid and it was in this location, blah blah blah, and give us information on the cryptid. It was just a little bit more information would be nice from the game. Not to say that the lack of information makes it worse, but it's more of, I just like, I love me a lore building game. I love me a game that has like a lore of like, here's what you're doing, why you're doing it, and here's your motivation, and here's what it is you got, kind of stuff.
Yeah, like it really is just like flavor to it, because
Yeah.
like it is supposed to be just a very like quick, like all the shapes are just geometric. Like there's not really any like detail on anything. It's, like the mount. Like I'm looking at the thing on Board Game Geek. Like the desert has a few colored spots. The mountains have a few shaded spots, but like otherwise, it's triangles or mountains, I think, or hills or something, and the cylinders were like towers. And then like animal locations were bordered in red and black. So like it's a very simplistic design.
Yeah.
But yeah, like adding a couple more like alternative rules would be cool for that, because like it's not like a social deduction game where you can kind of like easily like lead people astray if you are the because like nobody's the bad guy in it. It's not like you're like secret Hitlers or anything like that. So everyone's trying to find it, and you have to just be honest. Like if somebody puts a token in the desert and they go, I'm searching the desert, you can't just go, nope, that's not where it's at just because you feel like it. If that falls in the range of your clue, you have to say yes. I think the only way you can really kind of like mess with somebody's like idea would be using the black token, asking people if
Yeah.
something is somewhere, and purposely asking for something where it couldn't be.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that was like part of why we got through so many games so quickly is the black token, the search token, was hardly ever used. Or which is investigation and search. I don't know what the two tokens were, but like
So when you used your own color token, you were searching.
yeah.
And then each player just stacked on top of that if it was a good or a bad.
Yeah.
The black one was the asking if it.
Yeah, sharing knowledge to like that one was hardly used throughout the game, whereas like that's part of where the deduction comes into play, is like you don't want people to know where it is. And by you placing, like, you have to place your search token somewhere where you know it isn't. It is. Or where you think it is.
Yeah.
Based on your rules. So with the other token you could then like cross people and say like, I think it's here. Hey, do you think it's here? When you know that it's not there based on your rules.
Yeah, exactly. Because like that token didn't actually matter when it came to like the rule, because you're actually trying to find out what other people's like situation is with that one.
Trying to figure out and deduce down what everyone else's rule was, that then you can place it and be like, I know it's here then, right? It's got to be here. It's got to be there.
The other thing with the black token for like the asking if it's there, the scoring for it kind of fucks over both people in a way. So what, like, it happened it was either the second or third round where you used the black token and you asked me if something was in a spot, and I said yes. And then when it came back around, it was Erica's turn. She's like, well, I think it's here, because I already had put the yes there, so she put it on top of it. And then Matt was like, yep, it's there. And we're all just like, oh. And Erica got the win for it, because you and I had already confirmed it, but it wasn't either of our actual searches.
Well, you had confirmed it, and then Erica started, and I was after her. I had to confirm it because it was
right. Yeah, right. Because you don't confirm. So you only put a token down if I say no. Yeah. Then you also have to tell me where it's not.
Yeah, it was a really neat game, and honestly, I thought I kind of want to get it myself and
Yeah,
bring
I
it
was
to like
thinking
my
about
other
actually.
my other game night.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe like grabbing it if it Top Deck or something had it, because it's kind of like Suro and stuff like that. Like real quick, like it takes 2 minutes to set it up, 2 minutes to explain how to play it, and then you can play like 3 rounds in like 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, and so like I might go pick it up before my next game night with my other group and bring that to play that because I think they would all enjoy it. They liked the other deduction games that I have.
Nice. That is probably a show.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm in a pseudo Facebook argument with people right now because Nerdist decided to say, "Hey, did you know the script of Spider-Man: Brand New Day, the movie that's not out for 3 months, explains how Peter Parker is getting through life without the use of Stark Tech?" It's like, okay, so you read the script and now you're going to spoil a movie that's 3 months out, and I'm like, good job, Nerdist. You're
I,
spoiling a movie that's not even out yet.
I unfollowed them years ago because of that shit.
Yeah, and like
Like
it's somebody,
they're actively the worst.
yeah, and somebody responded, "It's a script. Just don't read it. It's not a spoiler." I'm like, the movie's not out for 3 months. Whether I read it or not, they put the spoiler out there. That's
And
the
they
problem.
generally put the spoilers in the fucking headlines.
Yeah, they stopped doing that, and it's just the script explains how he gets by without Stark or Stark Tech or whatever. I don't know. I'm like, but bro, like obviously the script says this, but now you're saying click the link and come read our article to spoil this movie that's not even out for 3 months. To spoil, and it's a minor spoiler, sure, but still, like,
But like they do it all the time. They
yeah,
I mean, I assume they still do it because it like I said, like I completely unfollowed and like blocked the page so I wouldn't get suggestions,
yeah,
because like they were spoiling stuff the day after things aired.
yeah.
It's like,
When like this is the earliest I've ever seen them post something like this on. Generally, like when it comes to like a big movie release, like a Marvel release or whatever, I will stay off Facebook and the internet for like a day or so until like I can actually see it. But this is like the earliest I've ever seen them say like, "Hey, this explains a thing in a movie that's not out yet." It's like, bro, relax.
yeah. But anyway, if you would like to find some more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of those things help. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @one_quest on Instagram and Twitter. And our Blue Sky is at one-quest.com. You can also, our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo, and you can always send us an email at social@one-quest.com. Rich, what does your streaming look like?
Check me out twitch.tv/b_walnuts for video game streaming Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, where I'm banging my head against the wall in this no heals run in Resident Evil 9, as well as fighting the same boss for 3.5 hours and not being able to defeat it in Lies of P. Or just playing whatever other game I can get through if I finally get through those games. And yeah, if you're listening to this before May 4th, go interact with my video on TikTok to see if maybe I can win a chance to play on the main stage at NokoCon. Play D&D on the main stage at NokoCon. Go interact with that. It should be linked down below. I don't remember if it was last week. Cobb might have told me to send him the link, and I never did because I don't wake up in time.
No, I did.
Okay, so yeah, we still got one more week to interact with that.
Well, remind me, because I might forget.
And then I'll just copy and paste the description from last week.
It's a different description every week.
Yeah, but like, I'm sure the end point of it is similar. Whatever part, like, I have different. Well, technically, no. Every video on YouTube has the same description, mostly, except for like the end point of like, here's my song and credit my song went on. But yeah, just. And I find out, I believe they say the winners are announced on the 8th. So I'll find out on Friday the 8th, and I'll let you guys know the week after if I want to win or lose.
Right. I am moving my calendar reminder to tomorrow.
Oh, hey, I have one last thing to add before we sign off.
Okay.
Great.
I'll be at King of NHL 94 tournament in Toronto this week.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Are you like playing?
Yes, I am playing. I might jump in on commentary as well. My brother has done commentary a bit the last couple of years. We'll see. They kind of rotate people through, so I'll see if I'm on there.
Flying out of
Twitch,
Newark again?
no, we're driving.
Oh, what did we figure it out to be? It's like 8 hours,
It's like
right?
8
6
hours,
hours.
yeah. And we're gonna go to the Baseball Hall of Fame on the way back on Monday.
Nice.
But twitch.tv/king of NHL 94, the number 94. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we will hear about that next week, I'm sure.
I'm gonna get my ass kicked. I'm in a group with the 4-time defending champ.
Well,
So
good luck
we'll
anyway.
see how that goes. Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
It'll be a fun time.
And with that, we'll be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.